Hey, what's going on, guys? Well, today I'm going to be doing some cooking. I'm actually going to be trying something I've never made before. The backstory to this is I went to a Salvation Army. They were having a book sale. All books were like 10% off, but they're already $1, so they end up being 90 cents. And I had an impulse purchase with the holidays coming around. I grabbed this cookie book, but they have some savory things in there as well. And these sounded pretty darn good. The reason I'm making these is because I'm going to see family soon, and I thought it'd be nice to bring some food. So yeah, these are tiny cheese puffs. So, ingredients. 1 cup all-purpose flour, which I have, a pinch of salt, 1 teaspoon dry mustard, which I had to go out and buy because I did not have it in the house. I actually have a ton of different herbs and spices, but I don't remember using it up, but I didn't have any. So some dry mustard, a pinch of cayenne pepper, we got some cayenne, a cup of water, which I will get later, I don't have that shown, half a cup of butter. What's great is butter always has the measurements on there. So yeah, 8 tablespoons is the same as a 1/4 pound, which is the same as a half a cup. So this is a half a cup of butter, so they'd be pretty rich. What else? 4 eggs, which I have there. This killed me, Gruyere cheese. Now I haven't had Gruyere in many years because it's kind of expensive. They said you could substitute Swiss, but I wanted to make it, you know, to the original recipe. So I ended up getting this. This was $10. $10 worth of cheese. I'm used to buying sharp cheddar for $1.23 for a pack of like 6 slices from Walmart, so I can get a lot of that for 10 bucks. But we're gonna use the real deal. So I got some Gruyere, but like I said, you can substitute Swiss if you want. And lastly, finely chopped chives, which I just used the other day. I posted on Instagram. I got some cheap caviar, so I needed those chives for that. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna make some tiny cheese puffs. There is a little variation note on here that you can also add ham or herbs to make them, you know, ham and cheese puffs or herb puffs. I decided to do ham on a whim. When I was at the store, I saw these smoked ham hocks, and they smell, I could smell them through the package. It smells delicious. It smells like bacon, which I don't usually cook with ham hocks. So I'm going to take some of the meat off of one of these, finely dice it, and just toss that in there so you have that kind of smoky, salty, you know, character that's inside the cheese puff. Ham and cheese obviously goes great together. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm going to get everything ready here, and we're going to start cooking. Okay, so the first thing I'm supposed to do here is preheat the oven to 400 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off to the side here. Alright, also asked to grease some pans, but I will do that in a minute. So next I'm supposed to sift together the dry ingredients, the flour, salt, dry mustard, and cayenne pepper. So let's see, the flour is 1 cup, the dry mustard is 1 teaspoon, the cayenne and salt are just a pinch each. Alright, so let's do that. So I'm supposed to be sifting this. This is not really a fine enough mesh for that, but it won't have any chunks, it'll be totally fine. So I'm just kind of shaking it through. And see, we're left with a couple balls of flour, which is fine, get rid of those. Alright, so the next step is to start doing some stuff in the saucepan, but I'm going to actually wait a second to do that. I'm going to chop up some of this ham hock. I don't want too much, I don't want it to be overpowering, it's supposed to complement everything. Knife, of course, you guys are going to know. This is the Samira, one of their paring knives. So let's get one of these ham hocks. Alright, put the package off to the side. And I just want to take a chunk of this meat, and I'm just going to dice it very finely. Alright, so just trimmed off a little bit of the meat and a little bit of the fat. I'm just going to very finely dice this. I mean, really fine. So this way I can mix this in when I get to the cheese step. Alright. And it'll just be a little hint of that smoky, salty ham. Alright, mix it in with the cheese. I'm going to do even a finer, you know, chop than this. Alright, so there's the ham and the fat. I kind of cut the fat away from the skin, just because this is rubbery and tough. And even if I chop this up in little bits, they'd end up being chewy inside the cream puff. So I'm discarding the skin. All right, so next I'm supposed to add the butter and the water together on medium-high heat until they boil. Let's get the butter in the pan. This is a medium saucepan. And by the way, save your wrappers because you'll use this to butter down your cooking sheets. All right, and then I have exactly 1 cup of water here. So butter and water. We're going to bring this to medium-high, and it's about there. All right, so now that this is boiling, you're supposed to take a wooden spoon, take it off the heat, I'll bring you guys down so you can see it, and then you're supposed to add all of the dry ingredients that we mixed before, and then beat it together. There we go, I got most of it in there. Alright, so we're supposed to beat this together. Go like this so you can see what I'm doing. Right now we're just making the dough here. And then once this is thoroughly beaten, you're supposed to put it back on the heat for about a minute or two, just to dry out the dough. It's not supposed to be super moist. By the way, in the picture, those chunks were the cheese, not the butter. I realized that after I was melting the butter. Alright, so you can see how it's a dough, but it's kind of moist. It's going back on the heat for literally just a minute. We're going to beat it constantly. This is just drying up any extra water, I suppose, that was in there. Alright, just so it's a little bit less moist, I guess is the word. You guys have a little bit of dry flour on there. Alright, that seems good. We have a drier dough in there. Alright, so now this is supposed to cool for about 5 minutes. Alright, so it's off the heat right now. I'm just going to let it cool. So it's been 5 minutes and it's cooled off, and this is so that the egg doesn't cook, because the next step, I have to beat 3 of the 4 eggs in, one at a time, very thoroughly. And then the 4th one, you have to go like a teaspoon at a time, just until you're the right consistency where it's slowly falling from the spoon. So we're going to feel this out. Alright, so one at a time. Just make sure everything's thoroughly mixed together. Because remember, we dried the dough out, that water content, but now we're moistening it back up, so to speak, with the eggs. And of course this is off heat. I'm on the stove, but I don't have any burners on or anything. Alright, so I'm going to do the other 3. I'll spare you watching that, and then I'll come back for the 4th one. Alright, so here's the current consistency. It's supposed to fall slowly from the spoon. So we do need a little more egg, but what they want to do, or ask you to do, is put the 4th egg in a bowl separate. And you can scramble it up so it's all mixed together. And they basically just want you to add a little bit at a time, like a teaspoon at a time, until it's the right consistency. So it's kind of tedious, but I'm going to follow the directions. So about a spoonful at a time, until it's falling from the spoon, whatever that means. It is slowly dropping from the spoon. I don't know if you guys can see if I move this up a little. Oh, there we go. It fell off. I'm going to say that's good. Good to go. Let's do the next step here. Alright, so next step is the chives. We need a tablespoon of chopped chives. Alright, so I'll keep this bundled. Now, I know someone's going to mention it before when I was chopping the ham. If you used a bigger knife, it would have been easier. And yes, although I agree, I kind of like using a small paring knife for more control. Alright, and it's got to be about a tablespoon. Right, whoops, was that even on camera? Alright, next we need the cheese, and we're supposed to use 3 ounces. This package is 7 ounces, so I'm going to cut this a little bit off to the side. So we're using a little bit less than half. I could actually weigh this. Alright, so I put the chives in the bowl. Now I'm going to cut the cheese. So I'm going to dice this up fairly small. One of those I'll go back. I'll cut each one of these in half. I'm going to turn them and make smaller cubes. Just like so. Alright, so I'll cut all the cheese just like that. So there's all the cheese and the chives. And don't forget, I have that reserved ham. Alright. And I'll mix this together and throw it inside the dough. And by the way, I didn't show in the beginning of the video, but whenever you're cooking, you should definitely wash your hands. Should be common sense, but not everyone thinks to do that. Alright, so we're going to mix this into the dough carefully. This particular recipe is tedious. It's not difficult. It's just, like I said, a little tedious with mixing that egg in. So that's what the dough looks like. Now we're going to go back and grease our pans. Alright, so remember I told you to save your wrappers. It's a little tip a lot of people know, but it wasn't enough butter on the wrapper, so I put a little bit on there. Alright, but just use the wrapper to kind of grease up your pan. By the way, this pan is clean. It's just a very old, well-used pan. And they say 2 of them, but I'm just going to do 2 separate batches using the one pan. Alright, so there's a nice thin layer of butter on there so nothing sticks. Alright, next thing you want to do is grab a spoon and get a little ball of your dough. They said to put them about 2 inches apart. Okay, just like so. Alright, so I know I could probably squeeze on more, but I'm just doing a dozen just for the first batch just to see how they come out. I beat together that remaining egg, tablespoon of water, and I am just going to brush that over the tops. Again, it's supposed to be like a glaze, so they come out nice and shiny and whatnot. I will say that that piece of cheese that I cut off because it was too heavy, I bit that in half just to taste it, and Gruyere is an amazing cheese. That's why it's expensive. And I've been missing out because I haven't had it for so long. Alright, so there you go. So I'm going to pop this in the 400-degree oven. It says to bake for 8 minutes, then reduce the oven temperature to 350 and bake for another 7 to 8 minutes until they're puffed and golden. Alright, so 8 minutes is up. Let's go ahead and change this to 350. And we're going to do 6 to 7 more minutes. Let's take a peek though. Let's see how they're looking in there. I hear them sizzling. Alright, so obviously they are puffing up. Oh my god, it smells really good. Alright, so I'll get back to you in 6 to 7 minutes. Let me set the timer here. Seven minutes. Alright, it's been 7 minutes. We're going to go ahead and see what these are looking like. Ooh. They look close to being done, but not quite golden yet. Alright, so it seems to be their size, but yeah, I'm going to let them go for probably another 2 minutes, and we'll see. Alright, they are finally done. The house smells amazing. They look awesome. I'm going to try one in a second here. It took an additional 10 minutes, however, more than the recipe said it would, and I think it's just because I had the oven door open filming. Makes sense, right? So I lost all the heat in there. I had to kind of warm back up. One of the reasons why I picked this recipe over some of the other stuff is because they say that this freezes very well. So once these are cooled down, you can throw them in a Ziploc bag or freezer bag, freeze them up, keep them in there for as long as you need, make them ahead of time, and then when you're ready to eat them, you just throw them in a 350 oven just until they crisp up again. All right, so that's a big thing for me because it's nighttime right now, and I'm bringing these tomorrow. I don't have to worry about making them fresh, at my family's house. I could just bring them and heat them up when I'm there. So let's try one. I didn't make these for me. I did make them for everyone else. Break it open. It's light and fluffy on the inside. You can see a little piece of that nice smoked ham. Alright, give it a try. Wow, they are very, very good. It reminds me a little bit of like a breakfast frittata. You definitely taste the cheese. In this case, I could taste the ham in there. They are light, you know, kind of like a very light biscuit. But there's like an egg kind of undertone there. It could have just been the glaze that's on there, but it tastes like an awesome thing to have for breakfast. I would actually probably dip these in mustard for some reason. It's standing out to me as sounding pretty good. I mean, here's the picture of them. Obviously, these don't have any ham in them, but they look like what they're supposed to. Maybe I made them a little bit bigger than they're supposed to be. But anyway, I got the oven heating back up to 400 so I can make the rest of them. Again, this is a dozen, and that was about half of the dough. It's supposed to make, let's say, 45 of them. So if you make them smaller, I'm sure that is pretty accurate. But yeah, pretty cool. So I think it was worth the time. They came out really good. I think everyone's going to enjoy them. So that's it for now. If you guys make these at home, let me know how yours turn out. But they're pretty good. Just something different. I never made anything like this before. And, you know, I'm always open to trying new things. But it was kind of a pain to make. The next thing I would probably make from this book is maybe one of the cookies more towards like Thanksgiving, Christmas time. A lot of good ideas in there. So that's all. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Take care.